6 years after a cop rescued this unadoptable dog, they made a disturbing discovery in the woods. When State Trooper Daniel O'Neill was assigned to be with an unadoptable shelter dog as his first canine partner ever, he poured everything he had into training her so that she'd be a great partner. Eventually, after some serious training, she became the perfect police dog. So when the pair had made a very disturbing discovery in the woods one day, the police dog Ruby knew exactly what to do with the situation. The story of Ruby, the police dog who had gone through hell only to come out on top, will completely warm your heart. During her first year of life, Ruby, an adorable pup, had been through the ringer. She wound up in an animal shelter in East Providence, Rhode Island, 4 different times. After a while, it looked like there was a chance that Ruby wouldn't be able to have her happily ever after. The trouble with Ruby was that she wasn't exactly considered the perfect pet. She was hostile to children and other animals, so she wasn't exactly a great family dog. Eventually, the people who were caring for her at the shelter had decided that there was no hope for her, and the shelter had arranged for her to be euthanized. The only person who actually believed in Ruby was her dog trainer, Patricia Inman. Every time the little dog returned to the shelter, Inman did almost everything she could to help improve Ruby's behavior, so that her chances of getting adopted would increase. However, even with all her expertise, the trainer could still not change the dog's attitude. Inman wrote on Facebook that she did not have an off switch. She was too much dog for most families. However, although Ruby wasn't exactly your average pet, the trainer thought there was one place where the dog's energy might be appreciated. After making the Facebook post, Inman decided to contact the Rhode Island State Police Canine Unit. After hearing about Ruby's situation, they decided to take the dog on and add her to the team. About 2 hours before she was supposed to be put down, the cops assigned Ruby to Daniel O'Neill. O'Neill had been a trooper for 7 years, but it had always been his dream to work on the canine unit. So when O'Neill finally met Ruby, he was completely able to see past her wild ways, and he thought he could smarten up his pup. He had very high hopes for the dog's law enforcement career, and he easily saw her spunk. However, first he had to take Ruby home to his pregnant wife, toddler, and other pooch. Over the next 4 months, O'Neill kept a very close eye on Ruby. The new partners did everything together. The dog would go with the cop on his runs, and she would even go to the police department for work. The idea of this was so that the two could form a relationship together. O'Neill explained to Police Magazine that the dog has to really love you to work for you. During this time, O'Neill put all his time and energy into training Ruby. This was definitely not easy. O'Neill admitted to Today in April 2018 that sometimes I'd look at other members of the canine unit with their respective high-priced canines that were bred for police work and say, how'd I get this disaster? As soon as Ruby's routine had become stable, her behavior began to improve almost immediately. Before long, the dog had earned her police badge. From there, she went on to help O'Neill in many cases as his partner. These included searching for 10 missing people, 3 of whom she found still alive. Ruby's most memorable case occurred in October 2017. It was during this case that O'Neill had taken a call from Gloucester Police Department regarding a teenage boy who had been missing for 36 hours. With no sign of the young boy anywhere, they asked O'Neill and Ruby to assist them in the search. The pair helped the group without question, and O'Neill began the search by creating a victim profile of the missing boy. To do so, he paid a visit to the teen's mother, who told the cop where her son and his friends normally went hiking. With this information, O'Neill and Ruby went to search the area, along with another officer and his police dog. A short while into the search, Ruby suddenly darts off. O'Neill followed closely behind her, and the pair then found a body laying face down on the ground. The police dog had already been a step ahead of O'Neill, and she was licking the person's face in an attempt to revive him and get them awake. When O'Neill got closer to the body, he found that it had been the young man they were looking for. After flipping him over, he realized that his head was badly cut. Although the boy had suffered many injuries, the cop managed to locate the faintest of pulses, and he radioed his colleagues for their help. When the troopers arrived in the forest, they weren't able to locate O'Neill so easily. With time being of the essence, the cop instructed Ruby to start barking. Thanks to O'Neill's quick thinking, they were eventually found, and the young man was immediately rushed to a nearby hospital. With the boy now safe from harm and in safe hands, O'Neill returned to his mother's house to inform her that he'd been found. She was so grateful to the cops for their work that she began to cry. When she finally regained control of her tears, she had a very unusual question for the police officer that saved her son. The question was, did he know a dog named Ruby? O'Neill claimed that everything that happened next was shocking. He said, "I was taken aback. I said, yes, Ruby's my canine partner and we just found your boy." Upon hearing this, the woman began to cry. This is because the woman had in fact been Patricia Inman, the trainer who had saved Ruby from being euthanized all those years ago. O'Neill was shocked by the coincidence. He said, "Can you imagine the dog whose life she'd saved ends up saving her son's life?" However, it almost seems like fate had a hand in the meeting. Now more than ever, Inman must have felt like her efforts with Ruby had finally paid off. However, Inman was not the only person to be touched by Ruby's courageous actions. After the news of Ruby's courageous efforts had spread, she was named Search and Rescue Dog of the Year in 2018. She was also included in a roundup of the 25 most heroic dogs in America. Ruby's action earned her praise from the state governor, Gina Raimondo. Ruby is Rhode Island's top dog. If not for her efforts, a young man's life could have been lost, she told WPRI in July of 2018. She then said, "Ruby really is a hero. I commend the Rhode Island State Police for rescuing Ruby and training her for this important work."